Hello, hello, and welcome for another video. How do we reignite your passion? That is what we're going to talk about, not in the bedroom, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it is for you. But how do we reignite your passion so that you are getting what you want out of life? That is what we're going to talk about. Because a lot of people feel stuck in a rut right now. You know, they feel like things are kind of doing their thing. We're hitting summertime soon. That's exciting, but it feels the same a lot for a lot of people. And I feel like people feel that way about their finances as well. You know, we don't equate emotion to finances very often. You know, if you look at any kind of movie or TV show out there, if there's some financial guy or gal, it's most of the time a guy, in a movie or something, it's some like nerdy guy with like tape on his glasses which he pushes up, and he's got zero personality and stuff. And that's just not true. I hate to say it. I mean, most of the people that I know in finance have a lot of personality, maybe too much personality, but there's a lot of personality that happens with that. You do find your occasional one that you're sitting here like, ooh, we need to get out a little bit more. But for the most part, people who are involved with finance are actually very passionate people. I would say a lot of them, especially some of the guys out there, are very like passionate people. And they love to buy things and they love to experience stuff. And for some reason, you know, when we sit with a client, we get all buttoned up and we're like, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. Shouldn't save, shouldn't spend money there, shouldn't do that. And that's not what money's for. Money is supposed to be there for you to enjoy your life. We don't, at least here at One Vision, we don't prescribe to the idea that you are to sit back and just save, and not experience life, not do anything. And then when you retire is when you get to experience life. That's too late. I mean, you can do that. That's okay. You know, but that to me is too late. How do you know who you are in retirement if you haven't experienced anything? I mean, I'm 42. Like, I don't want to wait for 25 years to experience life. I want to experience it now. And so that kind of passion should fuel your decisions about your finances, should fuel your behaviors, your habits, your saving. All that stuff should fuel that. And we don't talk about that enough, about how the emotion, the positive motivation and positive emotion of money can just spur you forward and really get you places that you haven't believed you could get before, because we mute those emotions thinking we can't do it, right? And so this is to reignite your passion. I'm looking at my notes, I apologize, but I got so much to say and I have to organize it properly. But so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how do you figure out what passion to focus on? How do you use that to motivate yourself to hit all of your financial goals? We're hoping, right? Now let's do a little backstory. Okay, so I kind of came up with this concept because of a recent concert that my husband and I went to. We grew up in the 80s, but you know, we were teenagers in the 90s, so we are 90s kids. And we went to go see a rock concert recently. We were very excited about it. We made a whole weekend out of it. And frankly, to be blunt, it was a very disappointing concert. She just didn't do well. She just didn't do well. I'll explain in a second why. And I made a joke before she came out, because she's, I'd say, kind of around my age. And I made a joke to my husband because it was like 9 o'clock. And I said, oh, it's bedtime, you know, because I'm usually fast asleep on the couch by 8:30 at night. Like, he always makes a joke about that. He stays up so much later till like 9:30. So I'm like, oh, it's bedtime, you know, and he started laughing. And she comes out and she sings her kind of anthem song, or at least I think of it as her anthem song. And there was just zero emotion. I mean, she was singing the words, the notes were coming out right. She sounded, if I closed my eyes, it would have been a great concert. But she just looked like I could care less if I was there. And I'm purposely not telling you who it is, because I don't want to make this about bashing on somebody. This is not, you know, maybe she was having an off night. I don't want people to think that they shouldn't go see her. So I'm not doing that. But essentially, she just no passion, absolutely no passion, no enthusiasm for what she was singing for. She wasn't like even kind of swaying to the beat of the music. She was just kind of standing there. It was very odd. It was a horrible concert, to be honest. But after that first song, I turned to my husband, I'm like, maybe it's her bedtime too. I mean, I don't know what's going on. But essentially, the lack of passion that she had for her music ruined the entire concert for us. And I don't know if other people are just oblivious to it. I mean, everybody else seems to be having a good time. I'm like, am I the only one that is seeing this? I don't understand. But maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I've read some stuff that maybe I'm not the only one. But essentially, to me, passion's got to fuel a lot of things. Passion can take you so far. I've heard pretty bad singers actually get up on stage and with passion sing a song and you just get into it. Remember, I was not going to go on this tangent, but I'll go on this tangent. Remember about my best friend's wedding, and they're at the karaoke, and Cameron Diaz has told Julie Roberts, is not spoiling anything if you haven't seen it, but Cameron Diaz had told Julie Roberts that she hates going to karaoke bars because she can't sing. And Julie Roberts kind of drags her to this karaoke bar with Cameron Diaz's fiance, and she gets pulled up to sing essentially, and she's horrible. I mean, I don't know if she's putting that on her, but she's horrible. And she starts off really weak and with a really bad voice, and everybody's like, what the heck is going on? Like, she sounds horrible. And then she starts to get into it, and she starts like leaning into her bad singing, and she gets into the song, and she starts moving along to it and smiling and having fun, and the whole bar turns around and is giving her like standing ovation. And then she was not any better of a singer. She was still horrible, but her passion got her to the finish line. And this artist, sang a lot better than Cameron Diaz, but could probably take a beat from that. And passion can get you through so much stuff. Like I think of times like that I've gotten through things by passion. Like I get kind of obsessed with certain things. So when I was younger, I got obsessed with cooking, learning how to cook every single different dish that I could possibly cook. And now I'm not that obsessed with cooking. I mean, I cook, but not a huge amount. I use my air fryer a lot. And it's not really cooking, but that's okay. And essentially, I took that passion for learning how to cook all the way through. So I can really cook anything now. I can make it work. I can figure out how to cook it without a recipe or anything like that. And that's a skill that I would never give back because I love that. Passion can get you through so much if you think about what you enjoy in life, being out in nature or traveling or whatever those passion things are for you. Those are what can push you forward. And so I just want you to take a second. This is kind of silly because it's a video, but take a second and think of what is something that you really are passionate about. Is it travel? Is it reading a good book? Is it a good glass of wine? Is it going on hikes? I'm kind of listing off some of my stuff, but you can put in whatever that is. I have some clients who are just passionate about golf. I am not a golf person. I tried recently. I'm just not good at it. But that love golf. I just have people who are very passionate about things, and nothing stops them from doing what they are passionate about. Nothing. Except for when it comes to something that is financially difficult, like traveling or something like that. Like we let those things get in the way because of finances. Well, how do we turn that around? So I've talked about this before. I'm pretty sure I have a long video on this as well, and I will link it in the description if I do, called bucket list planning. Now, this is something that we do at One Vision Retirement. I don't know if anybody else does it, but I have not heard of them doing it. And what this is that we sit down with people and we ask them what is on their bucket list. Because if I sit and ask people what are your goals, I get the same boring stuff that everybody says, right? I can list them. I want to retire. I want to spend time with my friends and family. I want to travel. I want to, be able to do XYZ hobby. And it's usually something that they're not that passionate about, or they don't even know if they like. Something that's just kind of easy, not too complicated, not going to cost a lot of money, something that they think I want to hear. But when I actually push people and I say, where are we traveling to first? They have no clue. They have no clue where they want to go first. They have no clue. They might say Paris, or they might say France, and I'll say, are we going to Paris? Are we going to outskirts? Where are we going? Are we going wine tasting? And they have not thought through anything. And that is because they have not let themselves become passionate about something. And that is a problem, because if you don't let yourself become passionate about something, you will never do it. There is nothing pushing you forward. And so when you are looking at bucket list planning, it's a little different because it's very detailed. You know, I was talking to somebody many, many years ago, and they're not a client or anything. They were just somebody I was talking to at a networking thing. And essentially, she was saying that she really wanted to take a cruise up to Alaska. I said, that's great. Where do you want to go in Alaska? What do you want to do there? And she like really got into it. She was talking about, you know, where she wants to go and what she wants to see. And she wanted to do I'm sure this is not the right term, the dog sledding thing where they do the dog sledding and you're behind them. I'm sure there's an actual name for it. I'm just not getting it. Sorry, that truck went by again and it distracted me again. And so there's not supposed to be trucks on our trail. Anyhow, but essentially there's, you know, there's all this stuff, and she got really specific on what she wanted to do. And I said, have you thought about which cruise line you want to go on? All this stuff. We really got into it. And I saw her about a year later, and she goes, you know, I made that happen. I'd been talking about that for like 5 years. And I finally just decided I was going to do it. So I saved enough money, I booked my ticket, and I went. I said, that's wonderful. And she goes, you know, the nice thing is because I gave myself a little time, I was able to save for it. So I didn't have like a huge financial burden or something afterwards. It was not one of those things where I sat there and kind of regretted the whole thing afterwards because I was having to make up time. And it kind of clicked a little bit that I should be using more detail when I talk to people about planning and goals, but essentially it really didn't click until, you know, more recently that bucket list planning is what we should do. So what we do is we have clients talk about what do they want to accomplish and what is their first thing that they want to do. That could be a trip, that could be buying a certain vehicle, that could be, you know, I've had people say that they want to retire parents. You know, their parents did not get a chance to save for retirement and they're still working and they want them to retire. They want to be able to support them. You know, different things like that. I've had I've had charitable things. But if you say, I want a Corvette, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's your bucket list, that is totally fine. That my husband has a Corvette, fun. No judgment, okay? This is not about say what you think everybody should hear or would want to hear, or that you're being materialistic or something like that. This is about you enjoying your life. And honestly, there's no regrets when you are trying to enjoy your own life, okay? And so you find that thing. Let's say I'm going to use my example, which is Greece, okay? I really want to go back to Greece. We went there once on a cruise. I don't feel like I really got to experience what I wanted to experience. Really hope we get to go back soon. Cruise or not cruise, I don't know what we would choose at this point. But Greece, let's say that's the top of my bucket list right now. Well, that's got to become a goal. Yes, we're still going to save for retirement. Yes, we're still going to save for, you know, buying our first home or whatever else there is. But we've got to have something fun that is passion-filled for us, because that will push everything else forward as well. So you find your thing, then you put together all the details of where you want to go, what you want to do, where do you want to stay, what time of year are we going, you know, all this stuff. And we actually put a price to it, not just like some pie in the sky, like in the wind kind of thing. Like we actually find a price. We figure it out. How much will this cost us? And we figure out a timeline. When would we like to go? Everybody says tomorrow. That's not going to work. Okay, but maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe a year, whatever it is. You know, this lady who went to Alaska went on a pretty cheap thing, so she was able to make it. If you have a $10,000 trip, that's going to probably take a little longer to save for, right? So what you do is then you pair that with the rest of your savings goals. So if you are saving your emergency fund, you also are saving for your bucket list item thing. I need to figure out a better word for it, but your thing that you're working on for your bucket list. If you're saving for retirement, you are also saving for your bucket list. So anytime you put $100 away, part of that is going into your regular savings and part of that is going into your bucket list. And so it really motivates you to save, because you're not just going to make your list and go through this and then let it die. You're going to get involved. You're going to create a vision board if you want. You're going to join communities online to hear about, Greece travel. You're going to watch movies about Greece. Maybe, of course, Under the Tuscan Sky just came up, but that's not Greece, so I don't know why that came in my head. But that kind of thing, right? That makes you really want to go to Tuscany. All those different things. Use that momentum. Stay passionate about this. Be excited. Maybe start learning some Greek. Just get involved. Use that passion to fulfill this dream that you have, but also to continue to push you forward with your other financial goals. I tell you, if you can put something like this in place for yourself, you will be so much happier and you will be on better track with your overall finances than without it. Because without it, you don't really have a strategy. You might have a strategy, but it's not something compelling you forward. And we always need that motivational aspect to compel us forward. That passion is what seals the deal, okay? So you can use any tool you want to help. Budgeting apps, you can help, automatic savings. There's tons of little tools out there that can help you get there. Just find a way and start. That's the thing. You've got to start. If you don't start, and if you start to lose passion in that, maybe that's not your thing, but find what is going to fuel your passion for the rest of your finances as well. So you have the power to transform your life and your finances. So what's stopping you? Get going, right? And I want to thank you so much for sticking out, watching this whole video. I hope that we got your passion reignited, that you are not going to be like this artist that we saw in concert who just could care less. That's not the way to handle your finances, and that's not the way to live your life. It's hard to watch people do that, and I don't want anybody living their life like that anymore. And with that, we are going to talk about the next video. The next video is a good one. It's going to be about, should you pay your house off early or not? This is a very polarizing issue. Some people say, yes, you should, and some people say, no, you shouldn't. We're going to go through the pros and cons, and I will give you my opinion, actually. It's not going to be an opinion that everybody should follow, but I still think that it's important to, hear what I have to say for 95% of the population. So I will give you my opinion on that. Again, it's just an opinion, but hopefully you will stick to coming back and seeing that and continue to watch many of our videos. I hope these are helpful for you. Again, thank you for staying to the end. And until next time, hopefully you are going to get your passion reignited and get saving.